A side step right left to my beat. I like the moon rock with me, baby. Know that I got that heat. Let me show you 'cause talk is cheap. Side step right left to my beat. Get it, let it roll. Smooth like butter. Pour you in like no other. Don't need no usher to remind me you got it bad. Ain't no other that could sweep you up like a rubber. Straight up, I gotcha, making you fall like that. Break it down. Ooh, when I look in the mirror, I'm with your heart into two. I got the superstar glow, so ooh, to the boogie line. Side step right left to my beat. I like the moon rock with me, baby. Know that I got that heat. Let me show you 'cause talk is cheap. A side step right left to my beat. Get it, let it roll. Get it, let it roll. Get it, let it roll.
Eyes on my wrist, I'm the nice guy. Got the right body and the right mind. Rolling up the party, got the right vibes. Move like haters.
Fresh boy, pull up and we lay low. All the players get moving with the bass low. Got army right behind us when we say so. Let's go.
Side step right left to my beat. I like the moon rock with me, baby. Know that I got that heat. Let me show you 'cause talk is cheap. Side step right left to my beat. Get it, let it roll.
Cool light, cool shade, and you know we don't stop. Highlight, ain't no. You been like, oh my god. We gon' make it rock in his head. We gon' make it bounce in his head. Hotter, sweeter, cooler, butter.
Get it, let it roll.
Have I ever told you all you to the bone? Have I ever told you when you are all alone? And if I ever forget to tell you how I feel, listen to me now, babe. I want you to the bone. I want you to the bone. I want you to the bone.
This ain't build a bitch. You don't get to pick and choose. Different ass and bigger boobs. If my eyes are brown or blue, this ain't build a bitch. I'm filled with flaws and attitudes. So if you need perfect, I'm not built for you. Bob the Builder broke my heart. Told me I need fixing. Said that I'm just nuts and bolts. A lot of parts were missing. Curvy like a corset, virgin and a vixen. That's the kind of girl he wants, but he forgot. This ain't build a bitch. You don't get to pick and choose. Different ass and bigger boobs. If my eyes are brown or blue, this ain't build a bitch. I'm filled with flaws and attitudes. So if you need perfect, I'm not built for you. Boys are always playing dolls, looking for their Barbie. They don't look like Ken at all, hardly have a heartbeat. Need someone who falls apart so he can play Prince Charming. If that's the kind of girl he wants, then he forgot. This ain't build a bitch. You don't get to pick and choose. Different ass and bigger boobs. If my eyes are brown or blue, this ain't build a bitch. I'm filled with flaws and attitudes. So if you need perfect, I'm not built for you.
Lima hari sudah ku rindu, tak bisa ku menghubungimu. Kau sedang dengan dirinya, sedang kita rahasia. Kapankah kau ada waktu sembunyi untuk bertemu? Baru kau sapa ku tersipu. Kau puji lupa amarahku, karena kau paling tahu cara lemahkan hatiku. Walau tak ada yang pasti, yang kau beri hanya mimpi. Lantas mengapa ku masih menaruh hati, padahal ku tahu kau telah terikat janji. Keliru ataukah bukan, tak tahu. Lupakanmu tapi aku tak mau. Baru kau sapa ku tersipu. Kau puji lupa amarahku, karena kau paling tahu cara lemahkan hatiku. Kalau tak ada yang pasti, yang kau beri hanya mimpi. Lantas mengapa ku masih menaruh hati, padahal ku tahu kau telah terikat janji. Keliru ataukah bukan, tak tahu. Lupakanmu tapi aku tak mau. Pantaskah aku menyimpan rasa cemburu, padahal bukan aku yang memilikimu. Sanggup sampai kapankah ku tak tahu. Akankah akal sehat menyadarkanku? Lantas mengapa ku masih menaruh hati, Lantas mengapa ku masih menaruh hati, padahal ku tahu kau telah terikat janji. Keliru ataukah bukan, tak tahu. Lupakanmu tapi aku tak mau. Pantaskah aku untuk menyimpan, karena bukan aku yang milikimu. Sampai kapankah ku tak tahu. Akankah akal sehat menyadarkanku?
I could say I never dare to think about you in that way, but I would be lying. And I pretend I'm happy for you when you find some dude to take home, but I won't deny that in the midst of the crowds and the shapes in the clouds, I don't see nobody but you. In my rose-tinted dreams, wrinkled silk on my sheets, I don't see nobody but you. Boy, you got me hooked onto something. Who could say that they saw us coming? Tell me, do you feel the love? Spend a summer or a lifetime with me. Let me take you to the place of your dreams. Tell me, do you feel the love? I could say I never unzipped those blue Levi's inside my head, but that's far from the truth. Don't know what's come over me. It seems like yesterday when I said we'll be friends forever. Constellations of stars, mules on city walls, I don't see nobody but you. You're my vice, you're my muse, you're a 19th floor view. I don't see nobody but you. Boy, you got me hooked onto something. Who could say that they saw us coming? Tell me, do you feel the love? Spend a summer or a lifetime with me. Let me take you to the place of your dreams. Tell me, do you feel the love? Boy, you got me hooked onto something. Who could say that they saw us coming? Tell me, do you feel the love? Spend a summer or a lifetime with me. Let me take you to the place of your dreams. Tell me, do you feel the love? 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 Do you feel the love?
Car ride to Malibu, strawberry ice cream, 1 spoon for 2 and
Tes. All good? Good evening everyone. Selamat malam semua. Not sure who come here is an international student. Selamat datang Nur, Felix, Faiz, Rifki, Ardio, Astrid, Indah, Yogi, Rafi. Anyone international student here? just to make sure before we decide to take another move. Because it might be some of the students will become late because it's a different time between us and our country. But anyway, welcome to our guest lecture series of AMERTA Indonesian Cinema Studies, supported by Airlangga Global Engagement and Komunikasi Department of Universitas Airlangga. Welcome to the forum, Mas Tito Amanda.
Imanda.
Sorry, yes, I always spell Imanda. Yeah,
No problem. I have that soft side. No worries.
Not to be that honest. Well, okay. Welcome, Mas Tito. You guys can call him Tito for like the short names. Not Amanda, of course, or not Imanda, but Tito. We invite Mas Tito to deliver a lecture about Indonesian cinema, especially talking about locality in Indonesian cinema, how the local culture, local wisdom, and local richness introduced or presented in Indonesian cinema. Some of you maybe, not really like catch up with Indonesian cinema at the moment because of the pandemic, but maybe in the past you watch a lot of Indonesian cinemas, and maybe you could like discuss more about locality in Indonesian cinemas with Om Tito. I would like to introduce Mas Tito first. Tito Imanda is an anthropologist and filmmaker. Is such a unique combination actually. His practical thesis is about collaborative filmmaking with Wayang Orang group at the slope of Mount Merapi, exploring new ways of visual storytelling, and maybe this is the right moment for Mas Tito to explain a lot about this. His master thesis is about the political economy of Indonesian film industries. His undergraduate thesis about Indonesian animators, and also he still Mas Tito served at Indonesian Film Board, and maybe will be the second period, I believe. And for sure, Mas Tito also the head or the coordinator of the Caffeine, is Indonesian Film Studies Scholars Associations, and that's why he drink a lot of coffees. We drink a lot of coffees since we watch a lot of movies anyway. So, Mas Tito, time is yours. I will give you as a co-host. Wait a second. And welcome aboard students from many backgrounds, some of them international relations students, anthropology students, communication students, and master students as well from creative industries. I saw them here. Thank you for joining the class, and I believe we can have a lot of discussion with Mas Tito here, not only about cinema content of the cinema, but also in the Indonesian cinema industries relate with the creative industries. So feel free to ask Mas Tito questions after his sessions. Okay, Mas Tito, time and of course for yours.
Thank you, Bli Igak. I always call your lecturer here Igak, Bli Igak. Sometimes I mix bro and Bli, so bro, Bli, bro. Yeah, it's fun though. I mean, Bli Igak introduced me before as someone who is an anthropologist who's doing the PhD thesis to making film with wayang orang artist. But actually, my presentation today, well, we can discuss that also. But my presentation today is more towards cultural politics of Indonesian cinema. Uh, and I have to, I'm sorry for those who are get bored with history, but I have to go back to history because we cannot discuss what we have today if we don't go and see what we had in the early days of Indonesian cinema. So yes, how do I share the, oh this, okay. How do I share? Okay, yeah. Okay, I have to start from the very beginning. This is local cinema in Indonesia. My name is Tito Imanda. Yeah, we have to start from very beginning. This is the first, for those who are not familiar with Indonesian cinema, yes, this is what we have officially as the first film in Indonesia, even though we cannot close the possibilities that probably we can find another film that is earlier than this, but this is basically the first that we have today, the first film that we consider this is the first film in Indonesia. It's called Lutung Kasarung, and it tells a story about, it's from folk tales, Sundanese folk tales. Lutung Kasarung, an ape fall in love, or a princess fall in love with an ape that change the form into a prince later. But it's basically from a local story, local folk tales. So basically, in the very beginning, Indonesian cinema is already very local, and this was made in Bandung, and of course, it's mainly supposed to be screened in Bandung and West Java area. And so yes, we have to talk about this first. So in the colonial time, Indonesia was very well. We didn't call it Indonesia at the time. That's Indies is a very rich region, and we have so many urban center, and we have urban areas in across archipelago, and so we don't have infrastructure as good as today, of course. So the local films made in local urban areas in the beginning was supposed to be screened in those areas only. So if they can screen it in the other areas, if they make film in Bandung, they can screen it in Medan, for instance. That's a bonus, but it's supposed to be screened in Bandung when they made it in Bandung. But later on, gradually they built the infrastructure small by small, and later on they can have better infrastructure, so they could distribute the films to more places. But basically, again, we have to remember this. It started as a local business, so it's local project in local business. So in the very beginning, Indonesian films are very local. Were very local. So we have mixed identities. Film. This is film as an entertainment in urban areas, yeah. Because films until today, films are not supposed to be distributed to villages, even though now they can watch films through television or internet in villages, but there's no film theaters in villages. So basically, film is basically an urban entertainment urban entertainment business. So for audience at the time in those urban areas, film was an alternative from theater, stage dramas, traditional performance, and from stage dramas, films adopted stories, adopted scripts, adopted actors, adopted directors, adopted art. So from those sandiwara keliling theater, mobile theaters troops, they have the stories, they have scripts, they have actors, they have directors. So even many film companies in the beginning were transformed from these local drama troops. So these groups later on they become film companies and so on. So from business side, it's also very local. So what's good at the time for making films? Yeah, a lot of action films, drama, romance, folk stories again. If the drama troops have a popular story, they became drama films, and of course actors from those stages become actors for those films. But the fact that that's indies used to be very wealthy places. Not for everybody, yeah. I mean, wealthy places for some elites, of course, not for orang pribumi. The indigenous people mostly were poor, but the wealth of the area itself, the region itself, is very good. So they could have film projectors, for instance, only not even a year after it was invented. So projectors and camera was invented in 1896, and in the end of 1896, we already have projectors and film cameras in the Dutch Indies. So it's very early. That's why historians are still not sure that the film from 1926 is the first film, because we have the camera. We had the camera long before 1926. So maybe there were more films produced before that Lutung Kasarung film. So these areas are very wealthy, and the film business is very promising. So it attracted migrant film workers from abroad. We have filmmakers from China coming here. We have, of course, the European. Even in 1941, a very famous, a very big studio in Europe decided to move to Batavia, and it's a really bad luck for the guy who opened it, because in 1942 the Japan troops came and took over the studio. The studio is still there. It became Pusat Produksi Film Negara now. So the PFN studio was built by European who had dreamed to make a good film business here in the Dutch Indies. So yeah, so basically, even though it's very local, early cinema in Indonesia was also very cosmopolite. So we have plenty films with stories with Chinese origins. Now I don't remember, but there are film stories that came from China, and or maybe we have local story, but we have Chinese characters, Chinese actors and Chinese characters. So there are also plenty of local films, local stories told from the perspective of the European filmmakers. So it's at the same time it's very local, but at the same time it's very cosmopolite. Yeah. So it's interesting and exciting. I'm sure. One of the film from 1939, Full Moon, apa judulnya, Beli Igak,
Terang Bulan.
terang bulan, yes.
Yeah. Sorry,
Terang bulan.
Mas Ito, sorry. There is
Yeah.
opacity layer in your screen is kind of annoying.
Apa?
You know, the layer.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry about that.
That's mine, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Sorry about that.
No problem. I'm.
Yeah, I think you need to remove the layer from the front screen.
Tunggu. Bagaimana ya?
Minimize the layer.
Tunggu. I try to find the cursor. Where is my cursor? Where is my cursor? Wait. I'll try to find it while. So maybe I have to go out. I cannot find the cursor. What to get?
Sorry, do you want to close down the share screen first and then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bagaimana?
Coba di close down dulu share screen-nya, kemudian dihilangkan ininya.
Oke.
Iya. Oke.
There you go.
Nah, sekarang di close down.
Sekarang ini dipindah ke sini. Okay, now I can start again. Okay.
Now it's still in there.
Huh?
You need to turn off the color layer. Color layer.
Which one?
You know, the small one here.
Oh, di bawah.
Iya, coba balik lagi ke yang asal, yang tadi yang sebelum full screen.
Oh, ini.
Ya, yes. Iya.
Okay. It didn't show in my screen. That's why.
Really? Okay.
I was confused.
Then I had Max.
Okay.
It's okay.
Okay.
Good.
There you go. So yeah, we have mixed identities at the time. Yeah. So it's a mix between local characters and cosmopolite characters in the early cinema in Indonesia. So in early 40s, the industry grew so fast. We have big studios in Europe relocate their studios to Batavia. So yeah, but the Japan came, and again, maybe it's a blessing in disguise. The Japan troops teach some Indonesian directors and journalists to make films. It's supposed to be the propaganda for Japan. And there were great filmmakers came from this program. One of them is Usmar Ismail, and this is one of the film that was considered the first film that really have or care about the identity of Indonesia as a nation, because this is a newborn country, right? So the Long March or Darah dan Doa was considered the first film that really represent Indonesia. And the first day of the production was considered the Indonesian Day of Film. I don't know if any other countries have a film day, but yes, we have a film day in Indonesia, and it's from the first day of production of this film. So, yeah, we can say that this period started from 1942 because the filmmakers in this era was studied film in 1942 to 1943 under the guidance of the Japanese troop. Ironically, the lesson was staged in the film Mall Batavia, or the one that we mentioned before, the one that PFN, Pusat Produksi Film Negara. So the guy who opened the studio was saved from the camp and he must teach. He must be the part of the teaching staff of the program. Anyway, yeah. So this is the first we can consider is a national film industry because at the time the country, the Indonesia country, is really there. So yeah, of course, naturally we have different kinds of producers. Either there were idealist producers, market-oriented producer, or mix of both. But and or if I told before, I said before that the identity of the early cinema in the Dutch Indies was the mix between multiculturalism and local content. Now the identity is already more fixed. Different local stories are screened as the richness of the national culture. So all good things that come from local cultures are considered part of the big national culture. Uh, and some of the films were really good. Uh, the Hollywood films that was distributed here found themselves fierce competitors, and it created some tension between Hollywood distributors, these Hollywood film distributors, and local film producers. But we get to that later. We still have, yeah. So this is the some notable films that were very famous until today among the film scholars, of course. but some of the in the screen now were already restored into a 4K film. So if you are lucky, you can watch it in IMAX Studios theaters later on. Yeah. So these are the example of good cinema from the early or the old order, the Sukarno era, and we get to the cinema of the new order that started in 1966 to 1998 and last until 1998. Yeah, I put this film because it's so special, because I think this film Pengkhianatan G30 SPKI, or the betrayal of G30S Communist Party of Indonesia is a very typical film from this era. It's made by the government to brainwash or to propaganda their message to the people, and of course it's very famous. It's a good film, even though we can be critical to the content, but it's I can enjoy watching this film again and again. Anyhow, so for those who are not in touch with the Indonesian politics history, so this is the most authoritarian regime, and they are famous in the world because they are very effectively controlling the mass media, controlling the way people discuss to each other. They control the education, they control everything. And many of their influence are still here with us. I can personally blame many of our problems today to the time of the new order. Yeah, but they introduce some rules of in filmmaking. For instance, there are plenty. I note here. I put here some of the rules. We cannot have the film without happy ending. So in all film ending, all chaos must be restored. Everything must be back to order. There is a rule on that. Yeah. Can you imagine that? So you cannot make a film about some criminal winning at the end because it's against the order, the good order. Or or we can make. Yeah, there are plenty of restrictions, and this is one of them. And we have filmmakers, when they want to make films, they must work for the permits from the government, and there are plenty of permits. The first one is the proposal for the film title. So in the very beginning, from the time you propose for your title, you have to get a permit for that. And then so on, yeah. The scripts, the location, whatever, the story, and everything must be controlled by the government. And you cannot be a director if you don't have 20 years of filmmaking experience. That means nobody under 30s can be a film director. So they are this is very effective, very effective rules to control people who make films, to be director, you have to have 5 years experience as assistant directors. To be assistant directors, you have to have experience, 5 years experience as something else. To be that, you have to have experience, 5 years experience of doing something simple. So it's very effective to control who can be filmmaker in Indonesia at the time. And a film must promote unity of nation. This is the most important thing with our topic today. Film must promote the unity of nation. No conflicts based on race, religion, or ethnic group can be told. They consider it very, very sensitive for stability. So what's the effect on that rule is, yeah, most films that were made during that time are trying to be very, very careful, and at the end they become very, very preachy. They play along with the government propaganda. They like to say things that government approve, and they must hide political contents from the censorship boards, especially if the political contents being critical to the government. And those films also avoided local contents. Yeah, this is what's relevant with our issues, and try to be apolitical as possible, as apolitical as possible. And some films with local politics, if the story have local politics in it or ethnic natures, the filmmakers projected it into nationalistic content. So if it's about, for instance, it's about Majapahit, they will try to put the flag, red and white flag, which happen to be Majapahit flag also, and also Indonesian flag. So and they made it like flag, what do you call that, flag, upacara bendera. They made it they made it like it's a troop bringing the flag together and try to raise the flag. It looks like a basic new order event. And this is the most important thing for us. This is, I put some theories. This is some people, Ian Jarvie said that the formula for Hollywood to be the leader of the world cinema is less specific content, but more universal. So the films in New Order era follows this. They try to have less specific and local contents, and instead they have universal contents. So what did we have from that time? Films like what? This. There are plenty of films, erotic films, from the early 70s until 80s, even until 90s. There are plenty of erotic films somehow, or not somehow, because it's safe, because uh, it's not political, right? It's universal. It's not specific content. It happens everywhere. It happens in your bedroom. It happens in every regions. It happens in every city. So yeah, and market love this. So yeah, we have plenty of erotic films. We have plenty of comedies. Uh, lots of comedies, and again market of this, and we have lots of militaristic films. It can be those that was designed by the government itself, like Janur Kuning on your left, top left. It's a propaganda film that tells the story of how Suharto became the leader of a guerrilla war in Yogyakarta, and other films that can be, ya, Pasukan Berani Mati is from the 80s, Perwira Ksatria and Pelangi di Nusa Laut is from the 90s, Janur Kuning is from the 70s. So it's part of the action film, ya. So it's interesting because it's action film, but it's also can be filled with the content that in line with what the regime wants. So yeah, we have plenty of that. Uh, let's not presume that we don't have good films from that era, but 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 the good films from that era, like I said, must be very carefully hide their political content. They must be so it's interesting. It on one way we can also enjoy the good films from the New Order era, because they have a special characteristic that try to say things not directly, but like they try to hide your real message, but it can be very powerful. So yeah. I didn't put the posters of good films here, but you can Google names like Teguh Karya, Arifin Senur, yeah, plenty of good filmmakers from that time. And yeah, they make films with the same formula with the Hollywood, right? So they have to compete head to head with the Hollywood in the movie theater. What happened in the 90s? Finally, they lost to Hollywood, and it's a long story. It can be a new presentation completely, but the owner of the film theaters at the time, film theater chains at the time, was also the importer of Hollywood films. So they decided not to screen Indonesian film, or even if they screen it, they put it head to head to the very good, expensive Hollywood movies. And of course, they lost. They lost the Indonesian films when they have to go head to head with Hollywood films at the time. They couldn't compete it well, because the gap of the quality is very big. Before 1990s, we don't Indonesia didn't imported Hollywood movies directly, but they waited until 5 years. So when they compete with the 5 years old films from Hollywood, maybe they still had a chance. But when they had to compete with the new films, they lost. So in 1990s, the number of film production decreased. At the end, in 1998, I think there were only 1 or 2 films produced in Indonesia. So yeah, we have the reform, political reform at the 1998. And then we have a new era of film industry or cinema, Indonesian cinema. Let's call it cinema after the political reform. This is not number 3, it's supposed to be number 4. Cinema after the political reform, and I put Laskar Pelangi as my highlights here because it's also, I think, represent what the film after the political reform looks like. They are comfortable with putting local characters. This is children that mostly were not actors at the time, and the filmmakers let them to speak in the local language, local dialects, and they talk about the problems that come from that area. So it's basically very, very different. And the best thing about this movie was that they hold the box office record during their release. So at the time they have 4.7 million spectators, and it was very, very good. Until today, the box office record was only 6 million. So 4.7 million was okay, not very far from the current record holder. So yeah, what happened when there's no more authoritarian regime controlling mass media, no more rules of filmmaking? So after losing the battle with Hollywood, filmmakers must start the industry from scratch. They started all over again. And with new freedom, they were able to learn what makes film better. So they improvise, they explore possibilities, they explore new things. They learn the history of filmmaking. There were neorealism in Italy that used non-actors to be actors, to cast regular people as actors. And they tried to do that also. They tried to do different things, and people started to make films with specific ethnic, regional, and religious contents. And the most important thing is how to make these films with specific ethnic content, specific regional content, specific religious content, but still they learn how to get more and more audience. So yeah, in these films we have films that made by big companies, using local language, local dialects. So these films are supposed to be screened nationwide, but they are okay to have the dialect or the language from the local. That means most of the audience don't understand, right? Sultan Agung, the official budget is 16 billion rupiah, but I guess it's more than that, maybe twice than that. Gending Sriwijaya is also very, very big. It was produced earlier. Yowis Band, fully with Malang dialect and Javanese dialect, Javanese language, and it was doing well, even in Jakarta. So it's something that unthinkable in the New Order era. Yeah, and of course we have plenty of religious films. Air Cinta is the highlights because I think we can say that they started the trend in 2008. But now we have plenty of films. I highlights also Ketika Cinta Bertasbih because it's a film from 2011. Because somewhere else I argued that Islamic cinema from 2008 were still only use the Islamic look as a cosmetic, but the content is not really Islamic. But Ketika Cinta Bertasbih 2 in 2011, I think they really started to have Islamic content in it, and from then on, the other films also made films with stronger Islamic values in it. It can be good or it can be bad, but in democratic society, of course, everything must be allowed to. Everyone must be allowed to say what they want to say. So I think it's a good sign. We have also regional and local films made by local filmmakers from the area, and they became big hit, or they became very successful in the festivals. Turah is from Tegal, Siti is from Yogyakarta. Siti won best pictures, best directors, best I think best script writers. I don't remember everything, but yes, Siti was one of the best local films at the time, or maybe until today. And Uang Panai from Makassar is also should be highlighted because it started the local trend, local films trend in East Indonesia, and they focused on local market. So it's like they are back to the early cinema in Dutch Indies, when they make films based on local story, local content, and they want to focus on their local audience, and then it worked. It worked very well because producing films in regions is not as expensive as making films for nationwide. So when they were depending on the local audience, local spectators, it went well, and they make profit. So it's another good sign. Beside local films about local contents, and of course we talk about local filmmakers, we also have to talk about local festivals that also started after the political reform. So we have plenty of local film festivals, and these things also made or produce a lot of good filmmakers, local filmmakers, and that's why we have plenty of great filmmakers today, because they were watching plenty of great films from abroad, and they discuss after the screening, and they learn something new, and then they came up with their own films at the end. So yeah, this is very good. My project, now let's talk about my project, because Bli Igap mentioned about it before. Yeah, this is also something that in line with this all. My argument is, if the wayang orang dancers and actors started to lose their audience when they're going on stage, because younger generation don't get used to watch and spend the whole night like that. Why don't they start to make films? Because it's still wayang orang, but they only changing medium. So yeah, basically we made good some various films, and the process also proved that uh, the local content and the modern media is not something that's supposed to be conflicting. It can be something that help each other, and especially with cinema, because cinema is a medium with that depending on very ancient human sense, visual and sound. It's very close to our hearts and close to our minds. So basically, I argue that cinema can be used to say everything, no matter how specific or how local the content is. So I think that's all from me for now. I give the the forum again to Beli Igap. Terima kasih, Beli.
Thank you, Mas Tito. Can you stop a second? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I will highlight some of the Mas Tito discussion. It will be he started to say that in the very beginning, during the colonialism, Indonesian cinema is very local production, local issues, local stories, even local screening. And then we have Indonesia as the, our entirety and society becoming, trying to find our national identity. And then I remember what I found in my research about how identity, how the battle between national identity and local identity, and the new order trying to diminish the local identity in order to create one and particular national identity. This is interesting. And then after the new order, as Mastito said, there's a chance, opportunities for the local culture, the local identity came up and rise up and showing up their identity. So a local identity is not really like, separate entity with the national identity, but also they come hand in hand together and build one national identity. This is the thing that we couldn't find it in during the new order. Well, I think most of us is like most of the audience will be like, the Gen Z generation, which is not really like, knowing much about the new order experience, but it will be interesting to find out what they think, or what they see from the national cinema or Indonesian cinema, and how the local issues, local identity come up with in the Indonesian national cinema at the moment. So, anyone want to raise up the questions? Feel free to do so. No worries, just say it in Indonesia. Pak Tito, yeah. Yes, you can read in the chat box, Mas Tito, from Andiana Maharani.
Yeah. Nilai-nilai local values that distinct the Indonesian cinema from back then until today. Okay. Okay, I'd try. Okay, the question is there any specific values, local values that distinct the Indonesian cinema from the early beginning, and then that we can identify directly? Yeah. Oh, this is Indonesian film because it has this or it has that. I don't know. I wouldn't say we have something that I think it can be anything. The local values that is that different from films from other countries or other regions is that it can be anything. Usually we can say it. There are several theories, but there are no people that try to investigate whether this theory is correct or not. That the theory says that Indonesian people has a different way to talk, and it shows in the cinema. And Indonesian people are very what do you call it? Usually has less rational approach than Western films, for instance. But it's difficult to measure because even if it's true, maybe any areas that not Western also don't have the same rationality. So it doesn't supposed to be specifically Indonesian. It can be, yeah. If you watch film from Korea, if you watch film from Japan, if you watch film from Thailand, there are plenty of similarities with Indonesian films. Even with films from India, it depends on what we want to talk about. But maybe I would say every films have their own way of localities. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see a big similar theme that binds the whole Indonesian films together against films that not coming from Indonesia.
Yeah, I agree with Mas Tito because, but for sure we need to find out what is Indonesian in our Indonesian film. You know, we can easily find, oh, this is in Bollywood movie by the dancing and the singing. I'm not quite sure with us how we define ourselves. This is a good question, Andiana. I mean, this is also raise up personally, I also raise up the question, how we define Indonesia in Indonesian cinema? Is it from the language, or from the the setting or the issues? This is a good thing we discuss in Cafe, actually. How we define Indonesia in our Indonesian cinema? How the idea to distinct Indonesian cinema from Korean cinema, except for the language and things and for the physical appearance, but it's a good one. Thank you, Ade. I want to close over the question with Mas Tito.
So far, no, Mr. Ika. So far, I'm good. Thank you for the answer, Mr. Tito.
Yeah, good one. Thank you. Anyone want to ask the questions?
Nih, Rifki Setia.
Yeah.
Thanks for the explanation. Why are there no more feature films adapted from folklore? All adaptations of folklore are usually made in the form of low-budget TV films. Why don't Indonesian filmmakers try to make folklore films, considering that Disney is very successful in doing so?
Wow.
Have you seen? Too bad this film is not released yet. The Gatot Kaca film is loosely based on Gatot Kaca story. Loosely, I said loosely, but at least they use the names also. Yeah, I have to think. One of the reason is that if people wants to make folklore films, people consider plenty of things like market, because again the film goers are people who live in the urban areas. They are not sure if these people wants to see, you know, the that's why Gatot Kaca changed the setting into modern situation, for instance. And also, if they want to make films with older looks, period, or we call it period films, it means it costs more because they have to build with setting. They must build specific costumes. So it's not that they don't think about it. I'm sure there are plenty of ideas. They think about it, but the possibilities of making everything into the screen in Indonesia is not as big as Hollywood. You know why? Because until 5 years ago, the number of screen in Indonesia were only 600, and that means the limitation of making films with the limitation of making profit of those films is very very tight. And in the last 5 years before pandemic, we were successful to add 1,500 more. So now we have about 2,000 screens. It's a lot better, and it eases people from making, you know, the most crazy ideas gitu, because if they have crazy ideas, say maybe it doesn't work for 5 million people, but it works for 100,000 people, and 100,000 people is still enough to bring the money back. So yeah, basically people have to calculate all the ideas very carefully, because at the end, long feature films is a tight business. But if you want to watch different adaptation of folklores, try to explore different short films. Short films are very free to explore. So yeah, short films. Look for short films.
Yes, thank you, Mas Tito. In the past, we have bawang putih and bawang merah, isn't it? And also we do have animation on Timun Mas. I'm if not sure, but think so. It's animations. But if we're talking about, you know, loosely defined folklore, we do have some horror film based on, you know, quote unquote is folklore, like Kuntilana. I'm not sure. Is this we can categorize that as a folklore or local myths? I don't know. Is based on the local stories anyway?
Yeah. I can tell you stories about with my collaborators, wayang orang dancers. We developed Petruk Jadi Raja to be long feature films, and some of film producers and film financiers were actually interested in that. But again, yes, I understand how difficult it is to make all the ideas to and make it actually happen and send it to the film theaters at the end, because there are plenty of stages that people must calculate. But again, too bad, because of the pandemic we stopped our growth of film theater screens, because if without pandemic, maybe now we have about 3,000 screens, and it will make those calculations easier, because Hollywood can do everything they want because they have the market all over the world. So yeah, basically that's why they can have films with $30 million budget. They're not scared. They have plenty of screens. In the United States itself, it's already a lot. I don't remember how many precisely, but in China, for instance, China has 20,000 screens, for instance. So compared to 2,000 screens in Indonesia, is yeah, they have a lot more. And then if we have more outlets like that, then we can have more freedom to do different ideas. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Mas Tito.
Yeah.
I think I saw someone raise raise their hand. The question.
Netflix. Yeah, Netflix.
About Netflix. Oh, okay.
Netflix can be a problem solver, especially for smaller production house. Because the thing is, Netflix only or on any OTT buy your movies with not very much. I mean, yeah, maybe they want to buy your films for, I don't know, 3 billion, 3 miliar rupiah, or 2 billion maybe. But 2 billion or 3 billion is not enough. We cannot compare that with the income that come from movie theaters, because in movie theaters, for instance, if we can sell our films for 1 million tickets or 1 million spectators, it means 1 million times 30,000 rupiah, and that means how much? Now I open my calculator. 30,000 rupiah times 1 million. 30 billion, right? So yeah, if you are talking about big production house, they aim to those 30 billion. They aim to 30 billions, 40 billions profit, and getting only 2 billions or 3 billions from Netflix or it's not enough for them. But I'm sorry, for smaller film studios, yeah, 3 billion is good enough. Well, I do a lot of films for 3 billions. 3 billion rupiah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's helpful to a certain extent, but not for everybody, not for the whole industry.
But also will be very short solution regarding the pandemic. So, you know, we don't have the screen, we don't have the spectators, and then, well, there is no choice.
Yeah.
Then we can sell it to the OTT.
Yeah. Yeah. The problem is that companies like, several companies that I mentioned, the films before, usually have bigger budgets. They have 10 billion, usually 10 billion, between 8 to 10 billion budget for each film that they make today. So for them, going to OTT, if they have to choose, send the film to OTT or keep it until the film theater open again, they choose to keep the films for now, because giving it to the OTTs will not cover the initial budget, and after that they lost the exclusivity of the film. So they choose to keep the films.
It's a very hard choice and hard situation for everyone, especially filmmakers.
Yeah.
So, well, personal question, Mas Ito. Do you agree if we open the cinema theater at the moment or no?
I went to film theater already several times. Watching Wonder Woman, can you imagine? Watching Hollywood films, because we don't have good local films, because film producers still keep the good keep their good films from the cinema because they're not convinced that it's already there's already people in the cinema in the shopping mall already to watch their films, so they choose to keep it. So yeah, I watched several Hollywood films already in the film theater, and it's okay. I mean, it's far away from people.
Yeah. I saw some pictures in Instagram also. They look like have their own private cinema hall.
Yeah. And of course, we cannot sit anywhere. I mean, there's a sign,
Rules,
forbidden
yeah.
sign, yeah, in every its seat. So I cannot Sun, for instance, when we watch films together.
Okay, someone send me direct message. Yes, Fausan, you can ask your question directly if you want.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Iga. And thank you so much for the outstanding, how can I say? I love all the, is it also your research also, right? For the cinema studies kind of.
Yeah.
And I know that Mr. Tito also, how can I say, is it working or volunteering in the BPI?
Yeah,
Right?
you can say volunteering.
paid volunteer, of course.
Yeah.
Well, you mean I paid? I paid for my trip from house to the office already. Yeah, but it's okay.
Okay.
No problem.
So actually, I have a few questions. First question, because of I'm actually Masiga also in there before as a senior in Infis, Independent Film Surabaya. So I was helping for Puspang Film, doing two things. For the for right now they call the Direktorat Perfilman Musik dan Media Baru.
Yeah.
They doing kind of archive research, like it's happened in 2020. All the celluloid type of Indonesian films, like any kind, like from PFN or any of it, as a artifacts. So yeah, I'm helping like in the East Java and Bali. So basically, like what happened in Puspang film already, like they made it for 3 movies in a row, if I'm not mistaken. Pagar Kawat Berduri, Kereta Api Terakhir, and the other one is Bintang Kecil, right? So the first question is, what do you think about this kind of research for government doing this research? Like, is it kind of late, or is it will be affecting that much for the whole Indonesian film industry system? So that the first, and then the second, I was wondering, because of you mentioned also the PFN, like state film productions, like they called. They do right now, since the new minister, Erick Thohar, like make the PFN to be kind of a facilitate for film investment, right? So is it will be how can I say, affected that much, like influence that much for the local film industry? And then since you already mentioned about what happened right now with the OTT, and then Masiga, this is the fourth and the last question. Like what happened in the present for this pandemic era that we don't know when will be over. So as a local communities that make any kind of effort, like for the educations, for the exhibition and etc., we're actually having kind of difficulty because of some of the young filmmakers already have the anxiety, like they already thinking like, I think film is not really a good option as the future job. Some of them already mentioned that. And then like until now, we will actually like always do the exhibition in the Institut Français or in Wisma Jerman. And these two or other auditorium. It's until now they close. Like we cannot make any kind of how can I say it, exhibition or screening, which is like yeah, too bad. Like we cannot make any kind of effort for this anxiety. But it's good that like what happened like 1 week before we made it make a like educational workshop in Pakuan Mall, like actually in the mall. So yeah, for these four questions, like yeah, what do you think about that? Thank you so much.
Okay. I have to, yeah, please help me if I forget everything that you asked. But
Yeah, yeah.
I will start with the first question. Is the research about the old films and how to make it happen into how to make it restored, how to make it happen to be restored is good. Of course, every every research about Indonesian cinema or about anything in culture is good. But yes, of course, there's supposed to be. Well, it's even better if it has some kind of academic committee that can help the research to ask the more sharp question or to be critical to whatever they want. So yeah, if it's a research initiated by the government officials and only used to their own purpose, usually uh, it doesn't get uh, it doesn't get the greater impact that they should have. So yeah, basically anything good, but yeah, please expose the process more to the public, so the public can also be critical and asking questions and so on. The second is the PFN. Yeah, whether the plan to make it a finance company, the film finance company, will be good. That's a great idea because we don't have film finance institution before. And if it's, I mean, we need different kinds of film funding. We need film funding institution that doesn't care about the profit. We need film funding company that care about profit. So because not every films can have commercial profit, and some films must be subsidized by the, I don't know, by the government, by the foundation, by whatever, whoever. So if PFN decided to be the company that fund film for profit, that's also good because it can boost some kind of films, and of course maybe especially if the most marketable films already have their investors, maybe films that can be marketable, can be profitable, but doesn't have investors yet can get help from PFN. So it's good. It's something good, I think. What else are your questions? Yeah, can you repeat again? Fauzan. The your activities, right? Yeah. Maybe Beli Satria bisa can help you and encourage you to join caffeine maybe and you can get more people to help you to give you more questions to encourage you to do things. I just realized that there are plenty of caffeine people here too. Ada Bu Mundi, ada Mbak Novasari, ada Mas Haryadi, ada Agus Mediarta, ada Tri Adi. Terima kasih sudah datang ya. But yeah. It's good if you can get more network and support group. Do I miss something? Can you? Yeah, I think you asked 4 questions, right? I only answered 3.
Yeah, actually, what I'm asking is that, like, what it will be in the future for the local film, like those who have anxiety and etc. I was thinking.
Yeah. Okay. If you ask me these questions last year, the end of last year even, I will be very, very positive and optimistic. Now you ask me in the middle of 2021, after we have this pandemic for 1.5 years and we still not sure when the pandemic will be over, my answer will be, we are very optimistic. We're still optimistic because, yeah, I mean, this is what we do. This is what we are. I mean, we work, film is a dream machine. It's our job to dream, to make new dreams. I usually said when people commented that I send my proposal, digital proposal, film proposal to everyone, and people told me, hey, they can copy that. I don't care. I have many more ideas. They can make my film without me, and I don't care. I have more ideas, and yeah, and that's what we do. Filmmakers are natural born dreamer, I think.
I like the term natural born dreamer. But anyway, following the answer from Mas Tito, I also believe as part of the creative industries, the pandemic, maybe the first element that be get hit harder is creative industries. But also the first element will be, stand up is also creative industries, because they can get along, they can adapt and make adoption. They can trying to make a solution creatively. And also for the filmmakers, as we saw already, there's a streaming online system, and they create some system. And also this week, Fish Cinema trying to, propose a new way to, to get more attention, more viewers by having like a cinema week, for example. And they introduce all the film they will produce and all the teasers and things to get more attention. So yeah, I also agree with Masito. We kind of optimistic in some level. I'm not saying we are very optimistic, maybe quite different with Masito, but still we are very optimistic that we can face the situation together and get the solution as soon as possible, I hope. Thank you, Masito. Thank you, anyone. And anyone have more questions? I still give you one questions. We still have time for a limited time, but it's okay for one question. If you do feel free to drop the question in the chat box or raise up your hand, and I will give you opportunity to ask the question directly. Thank you for folks from Kavin, Mas Agus, Mas Haryadi, Mbak Nova, Bu Mundi, to come and see, have a small reunion here. I think the last caffeine talk we had like a long time ago. So this is kind of a replacement for the caffeine talk. So.
And somehow we do it in English.
Yeah, of course, because well, my apologies. This is a guest lecture for the international class, but without any international student here, I saw it.
Gak apa-apa, udah lama mulut nggak belibet.
Bahasa Inggris ya. Mas Agus itu clapping hands or raising up the hands? Kalau raising up the hands, feel free to ask the question, Mas Agus. Otherwise, and while waiting, you folks can fill the form, so we can send the certificates to you. It'll be useful. Clapping hand. Thank you, Mas Agus. I thought raising hand. Feel free to fill the form. I will resend it again. So this is for the, maybe students, you need the certificate and thing. And we will send it to your emails for the e-certificate. Well, Mas Tito, a closing statement, perhaps, please.
Localities is not the enemy of mass media. Yes, there are formulas that say to get the wider audience, you have to be less specific and more universal. But why do we want a universal audience if we can talk with good quality, meaningful discussions with only specific number of people, and it makes something makes a difference in the world. So yeah, mass media like film can be an effective tools for discussion, and we can make a better world with those discussion. And then of course we can start to discuss important topics and specific topics with film, and have a better world. Such a dreamer.
Well, filmmaker is a natural born dreamer. Thank you, Mas Tito, for the great lectures for tonight. And
sama-sama.
Yeah, we will still have 2 series of the guest lecture series of this class. Next week, I will present Lulu Ratna to talking about a film festival positioning as a practice in Indonesia. So feel free to join again to the class. I will share all the details next week. And we still have one more in the week 3. I will share the detail anyway later on. But feel free to join us next week as well for the next session for the guest lecture series with Lulu Ratna. So thank you again, Mas Tito, for your lectures tonight, and thank you for the participants and for the students.
Beli bro.
Thank you for the participant as well, for the students, for the college, my colleagues, our colleagues from Caffeine, colleagues from other universities, and I will see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.